All right, what's up, everyone? It's another video brought to you by 916 Rideshare. Check out the Facebook page 916 Rideshare, as well on YouTube 916 Rideshare. So, today I'm going to talk about surge pricing, and specifically during the pandemic, I go on Lyft and Uber Facebook pages. I read a lot of the posts from people that were passengers complaining how, and especially Lyft, how they were complaining about this always surging, why $30 for 3 miles, and usually it's like a few bucks. What's going on? So here's the thing: Lyft and Uber is not intentionally putting out surges. Okay, let's just get that clear. There's always been surge pricing from day one. It just comes down to supply and demand. You have, especially with Lyft, in many cases since the pandemic, you got fewer drivers within your area, within your radius where you're trying to request a ride. There's hardly any drivers, or maybe the closest driver is 20 minutes away. And you got a couple people trying to, within that radius where you're at, or trying to, get a ride. So you got a source on supply and demand. You got short on drivers versus passengers needing to ride. Well, that's supply and demand, which means, yeah, there's going to be surge pricing. And the same thing for Uber. And here's the thing: a lot of Lyft drivers also drive for Uber. And some are going to have, a lot of them are going to have the apps on. And depends on which one is doing better, they're going to go with that one. If Uber is surging, then they're going to go with Uber. Lyft, on the other hand, remember, Uber in every state except for California still has that flat dollar surge. So passengers are paid, they can pay, they still get that multiplier, but drivers may get an extra 10, $5, $10 surge. Now that could be adjusted if passenger requests a ride while surging, and let's say that trip is, quite a bit of distance or whatever. It depends on distance and time. The driver might get an adjustment, an increase, but we're still talking about at the end of the day, only going to keep out 60, maybe 70% of what the passenger paid. Lyft, on the other hand, yes, you passengers still paying for prime time surge, but remember, they took prime time surge away from drivers. And they get instead, it's similar to the flat dollar surge, but it's called a personal power zone. So you never know when that thing's going to pop up. There are times you can get a request passenger pay for surge, and yet you don't get a bonus. You don't get an extra $5, $10. So that person might have paid $30. You may get $3 or $4 for doing that trip. Yes. And back to what Uber. By the way, California has the multiplier surge again, and I'll just stop right there. I don't want to give too much information because it might upset some drivers about the other things. But and that stays within drivers. So we gotta keep that in the club. But anyway, that's what's going on. And the fact that you got a lot of drivers, why do you really think a lot of drivers are going to work during the pandemic when the rates are still the same? They're still low. Lyft is barely surging. There's no bonuses for them. And even during the pandemic, because this is happening to me too. You would think there would be an increase for appreciation for us rideshare drivers, except there really isn't. You got a lot of people that are rude, disrespectful, and yes, even during the pandemic, tips, forget it. It ain't happening. So yes, why do you think a lot of drivers are not out? It's not worth it. It's a lack of appreciation, and hey, thing is, you don't get upset at Lyft or Uber. You can't say, "Well, I've been waiting for an hour. I can't get a ride. This is unprofessional. Why don't you guys do anything about it?" The point is this: drivers are independent contractors. They're not employees. Therefore, they can choose whenever they want to go online if they feel it's profitable for them. And if it isn't, then they're going to keep the app off. It's that simple. So hopefully now you know what is going on and why you may be waiting for a while to get a ride. And, well, 5 minutes away, the driver canceled. A lot of times, too, the driver might not cancel the ride. It's Lyft rerouting. They might switch, they often switch on the driver and give them another person to go pick up. So yeah, it's all funky. So just because you might think, "Oh, I got canceled," doesn't mean that the driver necessarily canceled. So I hope I gave you a lot of information on what's going on, and with the surging and why you're waiting and the cancellations and why drivers are choosing to sit out. So that's that. Again, 916 Rideshare on Facebook, 916 Rideshare on YouTube. Until then,